So I thought we would do a four-part video of this car because many of the viewers here probably this car is older than them. It's a 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado, the first generation car, and the first part video will be the outside, second part will be the interior, third will be the engine, and fourth will be a drive report. And my helper is showing that it was an original black plate California car. Thank you, helper. So this was quite a milestone car in terms of design. I bought it about 15 years ago on eBay from California. The original owner did some towing, and that's what this odd plug is on the rear fascia, probably for brake lights for the tow package. So why was this a milestone car? Well, it was the first front-wheel drive car since the 1937 Cord. It also had concealed headlights, which I guess we can show later, that are pneumatically driven. That's air for the non-techs. Original color, frost green, front-wheel drive, drum brakes all around, which I'll get to on the drive report. But it's a two-door coupe, personal luxury car, and it's large. When you look at the body style, your initial reaction would be, oh, it's a two-door coupe, but it's much larger than that. It weighs over 4,000 pounds. It can sit six with the bench seat, and we'll cover that on the interior report. But overall, it's a epitome of 1960 GM leading edge technology and design. It's quite a classic, and I hope you enjoy it. Now on to the interior. Okay, we'll do the interior portion of the video. It can comfortably seat six, and that's because it's got a bench seat with a nice armrest. Rear speaker in the back, pretty standard for 60s metal, but probably something that's interesting to the viewers is no transmission hump because it's front-wheel drive, which gives a lot more leg room. That funky green mat came with the car, and I keep it there for authentic reasons. The other thing that's kind of interesting is the door is large. It's at least 3 feet long, and it's got a door release lever for the back seat occupant. You can see it there on the passenger door, as well as the front seat. Power windows. And now let's talk a little bit about the dash cluster. So what's iconic about this model, other than front-wheel drive and concealed headlights, is the speedometer. And they call it a coffee can speedometer. And we'll see it on the drive report, where the speedometer is actually a can and it rolls. Kind of nice. Even though it has air conditioning ducts, this is in a California car, so it didn't come with air conditioning. The clock works, which is kind of interesting, but just to be accurate, I had the clock rebuilt, and now you see it has the sweep second hand, which actually is, I think, incorrect. The Toronado guys can tell me, but I think the original clocks were chromatic with the sweep second hand that was articulated. AM radio, power antenna, and a few other features, but not much. The other thing people who are young will find interesting is the dealer installed flasher. So cars in the 60s didn't have a lot of safety features. They had a padded dash, but not much padding. They did have seat belts, but other than that, you're pretty much on your own. The other comment I'll make, and you'll see it on the drive report, is the steering wheel is very thin by today's standards. It does have a tilt wheel, which is kind of interesting for this generation technology. And then the other thing it has is, as you loosen the horn, the wheel is telescoping, which again is quite advanced for 1966. So a dark green interior original. You can see the armrest, the large armrest. It's a comfortable car to drive. It doesn't have the optional headrest. But other than that, it's a comfortable car, and now we can move on to the driver report. Okay, and now we're on to the driver report, and I want to show, as I said, the speedometer, and then I'll pass the camera to my partner here, and we can get more. 425 V8, big carburetor, front wheel drive, and with drum brakes, you drive way ahead. It's not like the brakes you're used to today. So now we'll see the speedometer rolling, and that's kind of cool. And now I'll pass it to my partner. So a word about drum brakes. This is a big car for drum brakes, and it's also 1966 with a single reservoir master cylinder. I believe in 1967 law dictated that all master cylinders were dual reservoir, which was a big safety feature. But anything pre-67 has a single master cylinder, which those of you who understand what that means understands the shortcoming in terms of redundancy. Because it's a big heavy car, over 4,000 pounds, you drive looking way ahead, because stopping capability of this car is not what you're used to with today's technology. It's got a lot of power. And it rides nicely, very smooth, and it's fun to drive. You just have to be careful about the ability to stop. Quite a lot of power at 425 cubic inch. I think it's rated at 385 horsepower, but that's gross, not net. Again, that's an old standard. Anyway, we'll come back up the driveway. We'll see that the brakes work. Steering wheel, very sensitive, easy American power steering. Dual exhaust. And that's our 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado drive report. I hope you enjoyed it. Cheers. And here we have the engine of the 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado. Kind of a menacing air filter. Big V8, has a very flat manifold. Transmission in the back is that green colored. The Toronado guys, who I know well, said actually it's a transmission from a 1968 or 69 Toronado, rather Eldorado Cadillac. Both cars were front wheel drive and very similar. As I said on the drive report, here's the single cylinder master cylinder with the booster behind it for power brakes, but that's not a lot of redundancy in that system. Big radiator. It's got a big carburetor, which you really can't see, and then front wheel drive, so the transmission is at the rear of the engine, and then drives, you can almost see it, the drive shafts, front wheel drive. But it's pretty clean. Alternator, and very original. There are canisters here to hold the air for the pneumatic lights, and I'll turn those on in a second. It's kind of fun to see them pop up. I'm going to turn the lights on so that you can see the pneumatic lights slowly coming up. Pneumatic air canister driven lights, part of the innovation that came in 1966 from Oldsmobile. Front wheel drive, concealed headlights, pneumatically driven. Timing belt was chain driven, I believe. Big heavy car, big engine, front wheel drive, personal luxury. America, when America made great cars. Cheers.